thank you for that. It gives me great opportunity right now. I think it's timely for me to introduce you to the next speaker, and that's Sue. And Sue has a nice, interesting background as well. She is currently the HR manager at ZTO Logistics in Singapore, where she aims to empower and value add to to the employees' lives. Wow, she definitely has the focus on the right area. Okay, and she's, you know, she is also an early career professional, so I must say that I'm very happy to have her join us, you know, so that she can share with us her views, because she has already started her interest in HR right from the very start, and you know, look at what she wants to do. She aims to actually make a difference in the world, and not just, you know, any random thing, but really impacting lives. It's a tall order, I know. I think some of you could be sitting there, sure or not, you know. It's like, can or not, just talk only, right? No, no, you need to first have some kind of desire, some kind of passion first. Well, one thing I can say for sure, having collaborated with Sue for the past, you know, months, because she was introduced to me by mutual contact, and I can safely say the next line, and that's why I paused a little bit here, is because she told me for a fact that she is open to listen to job seekers' journeys, and then she is also prepared to help wherever possible. And remember those two words, wherever possible. Okay, she is not she doesn't have the magic wand and all that stuff, and please guys, be patient with her. She's not ignoring you, all right? She's not. And she live by the code, your dreams aren't big enough if it don't scare you. Wow, I know, right? It sounds like a mouthful, but I've worked with her. This lady is really committed. So what is she gonna share with us? And she is going to share with us on this topic to answer this question: should job seekers treat contract hires as an opportunity? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Eileen. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for your kind words. I feel so flattered.
Oh, they are, yeah. Because the best way to sense anybody's energy and authenticity is to work with them, right?
Yeah, that's why your energy is always the best.
Infectious. Oh my gosh.
Definitely.
No, that's self-praise is disgrace. Okay, cool.
Let me try to share my screen and see if it works this time.
Yep. And guys, menti.com 83369 All right. 83369 menti.com. Get your questions rolling in. I can see some questions here, and also get your question in the chat. Yay. All right.
Is it correct? Eileen, can you see my presenter view? No, right?
I can't see your presenter view, but it's showing up beautifully.
Okay, that's great. All right. Okay, so let me just start off by addressing the question. So should job seekers actually see contract roles as an opportunity? Yeah. Then, so before I dive into the subject, let me just give you some insight on myself and ZTO as well.
Yes. And I hope
So this is just
people don't think that she's vain because I force her to do it.
this photo, right? Oh, my colleagues are telling me, "Oh, Sue, you don't actually look like that. You are not that skinny."
After working for CTO.
Yeah, correct.
No, just joking.
Eating excessively. Yeah, so I'm Sue. I'm the HR manager for ZTO Singapore. Yeah, so now I will move on to tell you more about ZTO itself. Okay, so we begin, let me start by sharing on ZTO International Logistics, which is our parent company. It is the largest express delivery company in China and is even listed in the New York Stock Exchange and the Hong Kong Exchange. There, they deliver up to about 50 million parcels, which is enabled by their technological advancements. We are customer focused, which is why top ranking customer satisfaction among the Tongdas since 2014. So very, very established ZTO International Logistics, especially in China. So all my China colleagues and stuff like that always tell about how big of a presence ZTO is in China, definitely. Yeah. But so moving on, I will tell you more about ZTO Singapore.
Yay.
Yeah, ZTO Singapore, we are a dedicated e-commerce hub Although we started not long ago, we have a team of very dedicated staff, majority Singaporeans and PRs. And I don't think most of you are aware that actually 100% of the Taobao shipment, right, by sea is actually done by us. Yeah, so yeah, and we deliver up to about 20,000 parcels daily. And even though the pandemic, right, is a very solemn event, it is definitely redefining the logistics industry. So the reliance on e-commerce by consumers is definitely higher than ever. Therefore, we are rapidly expanding both in terms of our capabilities and our workforce. Okay, now let's see about how shall we move on to the topic at hand. Okay, and
Yes.
looking at looking at contract jobs from an alternative point of view. And I hope that today, right, I'll be able to make you see contract roles in a different and more positive light than I believe most of you are accustomed to.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
guys, I spoke about the growth logistic being a growth sector as well. I'm going to drop the link in the chat, but do listen to the podcast that I did for Workforce Singapore, and then there's
Correct.
a lot of opportunity.
Aline did a really good job on covering that, so you should really listen to her podcast. It was really quite insightful, so definitely go and have a listen to it as well.
Some people will
And
say too detailed.
too
Oops.
detailed. Actually, they always say the attention should be in the detail, so I don't think there is such a thing as too detailed, right? Then, okay, so reservations the candidates normally have of contract roles. Okay, these are the common reservations you will all have. We always associate the fact that contract roles means no employee benefits, no job security, no career progression. But today I want to help you change your mind on that. So let's debunk the aforementioned myths of contract jobs. Okay, so in today's environment with the COVID situation, we are actually moving into a more of a gig economy where the characteristics are to the advantage of freelancers, contract, and temporary roles. This is obviously because of the fact that work from home is very, very rapid at the moment, right? We, even us as full-timers, a lot of us have work from home schedules and stuff like that. So definitely, of course, freelancer, since all this can be done at home now, definitely there is a higher demand for freelancers, contract roles, etc. So I feel like the myths on contract roles is safe to say that they are just myths. Yeah, but let me just further convince you through giving you some tips to gain some additional bargaining power when you are applying for contract roles.
Wow, Sue, you mentioned the very attractive word bargaining power.
Correct. Bargaining power, because through this talk I hope that I can give you something that you can take away. That
Mm.
way I will be able to help you achieve your goals, whatever they may be. Yeah.
Wow, hey, careful ah. Whatever they work related only.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so let's say how do we prepare for these contract role interviews? Okay, but before I dive into that, I want to tell you more about what are the different variation of contract roles. Okay, contract roles, right, they vastly differ based on job scope and the duration of the projects or like the contracts. So freelancing is also considered a contract role, correct? Freelancers have the freedom in terms of their duration of the project, in terms of also in terms of their asking power for how much they want to quote the price of the project, because normally for freelancers it's not so much the employer who makes the quote but more of the employees or like the freelancers. They will say like, oh, for this project I think it will cost me this amount. Then, of course, then we have the more conventional contract roles where you are employed to be part of a like a company, but it's just that it's under contract basis. So such roles also vastly differ based on time period. Like I was telling Eileen the other day also, some are as short as 3 months, but I have ever encountered about contract roles that drag up to 3 to 5 years. So yeah, definitely based on that, right? Contract roles are also very multi-dimensional, I would say.
So can I ask you just
Yes.
a quick question here? When you said the longest contract term, like 3 to 5 years. So is that a like a 12-month contract being renewed 5 times, or is that
No,
no?
no.
Oh,
No, actually, yeah, correct. Yes. Like you said, there is the ones where they are constantly being
yeah.
renewed. That
Okay.
it's a 1 year contract, but they renew it 5 times. But a lot of the time, there are contracts, right, based on the project, based on the size of the project, right? The contract itself will state that, oh, we will need you to be with us from this year to this year. So it's the duration of 3 years.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah. And this
Mm,
day, this day and age, right? When you're offered that, that's actually not bad because it's already
correct, correct, correct.
better than the permanent hires, right? Which is like
Yes.
kind of anytime
Correct,
anytime.
correct, correct, correct. Technically, right? Yes, correct. Actually,
Technically.
permanent roles, right? The idea of any time is very, very prevalent. It's not like you are just because you are a full timer, it's guaranteed forever. No.
Not, yeah.
Whereas contract is even more strict on their terms and conditions. So
Very.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. So 3 years is a. I would feel that actually 3 years to 5 years, this kind of time frame, right? It's a really good opportunity. So if you
It's
can ever
very good.
if you ever come across it or if you have the opportunity to seize it, why I say why not?
Yeah, grab it.
Yeah, grab it. Okay, so let's move on to my questions. Okay, so should contract hires talk about their previous bigger roles?
So guys, I'm gonna do a poll and see what you guys think. Should you or should anyone as a contract hire talk about their previous bigger role, right?
Mhm.
Is it yes, let's talk about it, why not? Or no lah, better not say. Later, they say, wow, last time you are that level, now you do this level, or maybe, well, it depends. What do you think? Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, quite a lot have already voted. I think we've got
yeah.
like 66%, 67, reaching about 70% of you. Well, cross 70%, three-quarters of you have voted. All right, any
A
more?
lot of people, a lot of people seem to be quite unsure at the moment.
Yeah, 80%. Okay, I'm gonna end the poll and then share the results with everyone. Okay, here's the result.
Mostly unsure, I would say. Right? Yeah, okay. So next slide, I will tell you, it's not a definite answer, but I will tell you more about what you should and what you should avoid doing.
Okay, good.
Let me,
Close.
okay. So what are our do's and what are don'ts? You can see the screen on what are the do's and don'ts, but let me just tell you about, just take a moment to digest. And I want to share with you a story about a candidate I interviewed so that you can have a rough idea of what I say are do's and don'ts.
Mm,
So during our peak period, we were hiring a lot of customer service officers on contract basis. So there was this gentleman who came for the interview for this position.
okay.
Initially, already the interview started off with the gentleman addressing, like delivering his past experience in a very haughty manner, I would say. And
Mm,
after which he proceeded to say that he was very overqualified for the position, and
mm,
then moved on to say that there was no reason as to why he wouldn't be offered for the role.
no.
So, so in this scenario, right, I want to ask the crowd also, like, what do you think he did wrong? Because I understand his intentions are not entirely bad, but where do you think in the do's and don'ts do you think he did wrong? Like, where in his delivery did he get wrong?
Okay, guys, type in the chat. What do you
Yeah.
think? What happened to this guy, right? He came in and he said he doesn't believe that he won't be offered the role. Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Ashikin said avoid boasting. Avoid boasting. Ah, nice, nice, nice. Too entitled, Suilin said. And then Judy also said, yeah, talk down about the current job. Yeah, I feel so small, no, I'm an employer. And then it's like, ayo, so terrible. You have to, strain yourself to come join me, join the party. So too confident, yes. Okay. Tricia said pissed off the interviewer already.
more of pissed off, I would say that I felt like he was shortchanging himself and the role. For me, I am not the type of person that would be necessarily angry or anything like that at the interviewee, because I understand that the reason why he's doing that is because he feels that previously his expertise were very good, and his previous position was a very demanding role. He was at a high managerial level, and now he's moving on to a contract basis. So I understand where he's coming from, but how he should have twisted it around is he should have told me about his qualifications while telling me that yes, even though those were my past qualifications, what I want to do now as a customer service officer and what he can bring bring on to us, so since he is taking on this role, because you
Right.
see, by him putting down the role, technically it's the role that he is going to take, so it feels like he is halfway insulting himself in this sense also, because at the end of the day he is still applying for this position. So I hope that everyone doesn't do that, because I know everyone is qualified. It's just how you deliver yourself. So always remember to carry yourself well, so that you don't come across as too aggressive or too negative.
I think the main thing is what you have in the first point under the do
Mm,
column, which is
correct.
relevant experience.
Mm,
And maybe I can just throw in one tip here, which is use the word background. Is such a powerful word. You'll be
yes,
so amazed because it's all forgiven. You're forgiven. You know, you can say, I have a very strong background in this, da da da. But you only told half the story. Why do you
correct,
stop
correct.
there, right? You should,
Yeah.
I mean, not you should, sorry, I correct
Mm.
myself. You can try and say,
Mm.
okay, part two of my journey is this. Going forward, I plan to, I would like to, and people have told me that I should, something like that. Then they create a lot of excitement. I like your first bullet point. So maybe that approach is good.
Correct, correct. Those approaches, so the do's and don'ts are basically things you should really share during the interview. You should tell them about your relevant experience. Like I say, if you're a business person with a business background trying to do for financial whatever, there are still skills that are transferable. So you want to highlight those instead of just harping on the fact that you were at a manager position. So you must just choose your words wisely so that it is to your advantage instead of your disadvantage. That's why I hope you see the do's and don'ts and really take a mental screenshot and be like, okay, it's not that you're not capable. I know that we're not downplaying your capabilities. We're just telling you to address them correctly.
Very nice. Yes. And I
Yeah.
think going forward, I'm part of that category as well, late career professional. And therefore, of course, increasingly my stakeholders, my clients
Mm.
are definitely of a younger generation. So it's good for us to complete the story. Yeah.
Correct, 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 correct. Because I always feel that whether you're old, young, everybody has a story to tell, and it is, I will never ignore your stories. I will never think that they are irrelevant, whatever it is. As long as you deliver yourself well, I'm always open to hearing you out.
Wonderful. Not many HR are like that. Very good. Keep at it.
Thank you. Okay, next. So, how can contract hires negotiate their contract rates if they have never worked as one before?
Mm,
So we talk about the three key points. Of course, last drawn salary, like every other job, relevant job experience, and transferable skills. So what do I mean by that? Based on the three aspects, right? I want everybody to analyze the fact that the key thing before the last drawn salary is the transferable and the relevant skills. So if I am getting let's say $6,000 every month, correct? But if I want to join a profession that I am is nowhere near HR, not linked at all, and none of my skills are transferable to, let's say, finance, correct? Then I cannot use my last drawn as a bargaining chip. It becomes awfully difficult. But I do want to share something, a story of my colleague. So her last drawn was actually 1.8 K. That's how much she last drawn. but she managed to clinch a role that offered her 3K just because she had the right skill set. So what I want to say is, yes, your last drawn is important, but if you have the right skills and the right mindset, definitely how you negotiate your rates is really up to you. And like I say, from 1.8, she can go all the way up to 3K. So it's very achievable, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I realized I was on mute, but I was just saying that I totally agree. Last drawn can actually help you, or maybe it can actually stop you, because why
Mm,
shortchange yourself? So far
correct.
you have shared with us some tips on how not to lose out on an opportunity, just like the previous slide. Why shortchange ourselves, right? We should
Yes,
talk about
yes.
part two, then this one.
Correct, correct. I think most of my slides also are based around the fact that you must know your self-worth before you can translate it to someone else. Before you deliver it to someone else, you should know how much you're worth. And I don't want anybody to shortchange themselves by saying the wrong thing or going down the wrong path or their delivery. Because I feel like don't jeopardize yourself over these small little things that could have been done very differently with just minor adjustments.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Okay, next. Okay, this is our next poll. Do contract hires have any power to negotiate for their bonus, leave, or training?
Yes. So I think that's the hint for me to
The next poll.
yes. So I've launched, guys. Take a look at the screen, and the question is, contract hires has the most power to negotiate which of the three? All right.
Correct.
So is it bonus, is it leave, or is it training? What do
Correct.
you
Which one
think?
has the highest negotiability rate? Yeah.
Yeah, which one has the highest? You as a contract hire, which one can you go in there and then, be
Yeah.
courageous and negotiate, ask for it?
Yeah. Just ask for it. Correct. Don't be scared.
Yeah, yeah,
Always remember,
yeah,
nothing to be scared about.
yeah. Okay, so we've got 70% already voted. Very
Okay.
nice. Let's have more. Okay, I see it's still okay. So we are reaching about three-quarter of you. Okay, any more? I'm gonna close. Can I close? 75%, 77 already, almost.
Mm.
Now 78. I don't know, some last minute entry. Okay, close. The poll is closed. Please take a look at the result. Wow.
Oh wow! Actually, I'm quite shocked by the results. This is you are all going to be very surprised when you actually see the actual negotiability rates.
Wow,
Wow,
wow.
I'm so shocked
Amazing.
that everybody thinks the thing that you can negotiate the most is the training.
Okay. So I know why she's excited, because there's good news for you.
No.
Yeah. Okay, go.
Okay, so actually, let me see. Okay, actually, it's the opposite of what you initially thought. I just actually want to hear like why everybody think that training is uh the thing that you think is easiest to actually negotiate. Where did
Mm.
this misconception come from?
It's okay. Everyone has formed their opinion based on the last or few workplaces.
Okay,
So some said completion of contract bonus maybe. Oh, so that one is related to bonus. Okay. Because some
okay,
some
what?
contract has bonus, right? Tied to it.
Correct.
Hmm.
That's why they are ranked in this scale for leave, bonus, and training. So why I say right, leave is the highest negotiability rate is because we are covered by MOM law. So if you work anything more than 3 months, your employer has to give you that leave. So it is definitely something, even if they forget to write in the contract, it's something that you can negotiate for sure. There is no reason why they shouldn't give you your leave entitlement. That's why I say it's the highest because in fact, if they don't give you, you should question as to why don't have that. Of course, like I say politely, always try to ask in a
Mm.
nice way so that you can. I always be like, is your delivery most of the time? So just try to deliver it well. Then people will give you more
Yes.
inclined to give you what you want. Okay.
Yeah, so I think you got some the audience who agree. Yeah, that's true. Okay, that's true. And then Well, wait, Adeline says non-monetary easier to negotiate than monetary because of budget. Yeah, but yeah, so that was it before you gave your reason. So anyway,
Mm,
by law they have to give anyway,
correct,
right?
correct,
And
correct.
yeah, so as for leave, most of the time it's just unpaid leave. No, it's paid leave though. It's paid
It's
leave.
paid,
It's
it's
actually
paid
paid
leave.
leave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct, right. It is definitely paid. So if they say unpaid leave, you should ask for paid leave.
Yep. Yep.
Because can you imagine you have to work 6 7 months straight, one up to a year without any leave? That could not possibly be that MOM is not is against MOM guidelines. Plus I feel like as an employer also, or as a job seeker, you should definitely watch out for companies that try to shortchange you, just because I feel like this is the bare minimum in terms of employee benefit for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, because then you will be overworking yourself, you see.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
So
think first thing first, the question from Li Hui is, does that mean they can negotiate for more leave? I think the word more is very relative. Go
yes,
find out what's
definitely.
the minimum, because there is this thing called the pro rata number of leave depending on when you join. But the
Correct.
minimum, there's a minimum period you need to cross. Okay,
Yes,
so which
three
is
months.
3 months. Yeah, but let's say you work exactly 3 months and not even one extra day, exactly 3 months, then of course 3 months prorated would be 25% of that yearly entitlement for that
Correct.
level, for that
Correct.
level, for that role,
Yes, yes.
right?
Probably normally it will be 1 to 2 days, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
thanks. This is
Mm,
great. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so if it's not included in a contract, you can ask. You can ask. And like I said, Singapore labor laws have done, is already catching up
Yes.
with, right?
Correct.
For gig
Correct. Correct.
economy.
Correct. Yes, yes, they are labor laws. They will protect you. So don't always think that the employer always have the advantage. As HR, for me, it's not just being on the employer side; it's also being on the employee side, because I always feel that um,
Mm,
who else will hear the employees out,
yep.
right? So whenever you want to make a negotiation or whatever it is, please always look for the HR and just try to deliver your concerns. I'm sure they will listen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
And okay, so why is training the least negotiable? For me,
Yeah, I think I'll just say soon. I'm not interrupting you. I'm just saying
yeah,
that
no
there's a
worries.
question. There's a
Yeah,
question around training. So I thought when you answer, maybe you can also cover that same question, because they
yes,
said
sure.
isn't training already covered like 10 packs or 11 packs? So so it isn't doesn't whereas bonus relates to cash outflow. So yeah, so maybe that question, these two questions are tied.
Mm,
Definitely, right? They are tight, because bonus, whatever it is, whether it is given at the end or at the start, it's part of the total cost. Like how much am
correct.
I gonna bring you in at what price, right?
Correct. Why bonus is more negotiable than training is because of the fact that for bonus, although it is monetary, it is something that we can calculate for. We have accounted for. So when I present to you your contract, I would have already accounted for this bonus. Whereas for training, right? Let's say for example, yours is a 3 month contract. For me to fit in that time for you to be trained, let's say for example, it's a 3 month contract. Then I spend 1 month on you training. So technically, I'm only asking you to deliver on the project for 2 months, which is actually a very short time frame for a project to be delivered.
Mm.
So that's
Yeah.
why training is normally not something that employers will provide all the time, because, like I say, contract jobs tend to be shorter periods of time. So if I was to factor in the training period, then I would be, it's as if then why not I will train my existing staff who is already somewhat familiar with the procedures.
Yeah.
That Yeah, so that's why training is actually lesser than bonus, is because training is something that we never really accounted for, unless, like I say, unless it's like a 3 year contract. Then
Yeah,
of
I,
course,
I think
I
I
would.
think what if I may interject, what you're trying to say is the return on investment.
Yeah,
And this not only hit contract roles, it hit any permanent roles as
correct,
well.
correct.
employers always look at how much do I get out from you. So
Yes.
I guess I was fortunate when I did that consulting role. Is very specific, because at the end of that training, I have to immediately contribute into a project. So exactly what Sue has mentioned as well. There is a very defined outcome they want from training. But in general, I know employers tend to shy a little away from training because it's hard to measure what's the ROI,
Correct,
unless
correct.
it's very specific tied to a project.
Correct. Correct. Unless really there's a specific outcome that I can look
Right.
towards, it's really very hard for me to gauge whether this training helped in any way or not. But or else
Yeah.
I would wasting time on the training, especially if like I said, contract is 3 months, then I spend a
Yeah.
month. Yeah, so that's why I ranked training the lowest. So actually, don't feel shy, don't shy away from asking for bonus and leave, because like I said, leave at the very least is something that is a right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the question from Hon Chun is what's the minimum number of days in a contract term? I mean, number of days for a year. A contract term that is a year, 12 months contract. Yeah, 12 months
Okay,
contract.
if you are okay, this is actually very is quite variable from the depending on the year. Like I mean, depending on the level, the position. So sometimes executive levels might be, let's say, okay, the most generic is like 14 days, or
Yeah,
manager is 21 days. That's the start point.
yeah,
Then they add on as the years pass by. But generally, the I would say base rate is at least 14 a year.
yeah. So 14 a year, but I think to add on to what Sue has mentioned is this: the comparison is always to a permanent hire. Okay, so
Correct.
it's not a carte blanche kind of thing, like I can go to
Yeah.
any company and say that. All right, so just take note that the only thing you need to know is you need to cross 3 months as a minimum. Then
Yes.
after you cross 3 months, the next step is to compare a contract hire and a perm hire, all right, of
Mm,
similar role. And then you can say, okay, because I passed 3 months in this
yeah.
role, compared to my counterpart who is a perm hire in that same role, I should have a prorated, leave kind of thing. And it's
Correct, correct.
that one depends from company to company, of course.
Yeah, yeah. It is very subjective, but if they want a number, it's definitely 14 is like the
The
like
norm
the
lah, yeah, the norm.
the norm, I would say. Correct, correct. Unless it's like a managerial position and
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Next. So should contract hires do more than their scope of work or work overtime? Okay, what do we mean by this? I feel like for this is very dependent on the individual and their goal when they take up the contract job, I would say. Let's say it's not a job that you see yourself taking for long term, then of course just the duties and responsibilities assigned in the contract is will suffice, I would say, because I mean, after all, you don't intend to do it for long term. It's just maybe you want to pick up one or two skills, or maybe you just want to, I guess some people want to kill time, whatever the reason is. No wrong answers here. So yeah, then however, let's say for example it's a role you want to transition to get into a full time, then of course I would say go out of your way, go the extra mile, because why not, right? An example that I would like to share is I would say is myself. Previously, when I was doing in the event, when I was working in events company, I was initially offered the contract role for about 3 months. But however, at the end of it, right, I actually never intended to take up this role. I did not see my future in events because it's just not the line that I was actually passionate for. But because previously I had contacts that I was working with, so I decided to take up the job. So when after I completed it, I had no intention to, but nonetheless, I made sure I gave my 110% in the job. So actually they gave me bonus, and on top of that they also offered me a full-time role where my rates were very negotiable, even compared to my last round, which was already very high, that they had offered in my contract role, because of the mere fact that even though I did not see a future in it, I really went out of my way to make the project a success. I feel like this is not because I think I'm such a great person or I am just excellent at what I do, or it's nothing of that. It's just because I'm the type of person that believe that my work is a reflection of who I am. So whatever work I produce, right, it shows who I am. So I don't want people to see me any other way than how I see myself.
Mm.
So
I like
yeah,
that because that dovetail very nicely with my second suggested action, right? Add value. Keep adding
correct.
value, adding value. Yeah. That's very good.
I
Yeah.
think you can, yeah, correct. I think you can always do a lot with your time, with whatever work you deliver, as long as, I mean, like I always say, stop shortchanging yourself, right? This is the work
Mm.
that you produce. You spending a few hours more, or you putting in the extra effort to put yourself out there and to work harder, it will
Mm.
be rewarding at the end because you claim the work that you do, right, is under your name. So just pride yourself, and I really hope that people see that you really should never think of yourself any lesser than how you always see yourself. Like, give yourself credit. I always feel like everybody shortchanges themselves, so just don't do that. Yeah.
Okay, Sue, not everybody's like you. That's why. So it's
That's
true.
not
It's
that's
true.
not true.
It's true. Okay, so Ming Sing asked a question. What happened if you work overtime but don't get compensated? And then okay, the part two I didn't quite understand, but Ming Sing, maybe you can qualify. You say extra hours work but already included in the monthly contact pay, is it? I'm not too sure about that.
Could you repeat that question? The second part I didn't catch also.
Yeah, so what he's trying to say
Hmm.
is what happened if he worked beyond those extra hours that's already stated in the contract. That means overtime, on the topic of overtime, because let's say Ming Seng wants to prove himself, right? And then
Okay. Yeah.
like yeah,
Okay.
then how?
A lot of the times, okay, unfortunate as this is, sometimes when you do overtime and whatever, right? If you are trying to prove your worth, I say don't ask for it. You do this because you want to show your pride in your work. It's not because you want the monetary compensation. Because if we're talking about monetary compensation, then of course if you work overtime, you should be compensated monetarily. Yes, as
Yeah,
long
I
as
think I think Ming Seng, you can joke about it as well. Maybe you can
yeah,
joke about it. You say, "Wow,
correct.
if I were to put a claim, I think is like double my contract value
Yes,
already."
yes,
But
yes.
hey, good news is, Chris, I'm a Santa Claus. Decide to be a Santa Claus, so I'm not gonna claim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. That's a very fair point. Like for the contract role where I was offered the full time, right? So actually my working hours is just like Monday to Friday, 9 to 6, right? But I think I had to work like 6 days, and I think I went home at around midnight every day.
Knowing you, yes, yes, yes. I know you stay out quite
Yeah,
late as well.
correct.
Yeah.
So right, that's how.
Ah. Okay, Ming Sing said because of job demand but the employer got very, don't have deep pockets,
Mm,
so budget constraint, yeah.
correct, correct. That's why sometimes, right, if you can see
Mm.
that your company or the employer that you're working for is sincere, and it's really, you can tell that it's not that they don't want to pay you, it's simply because they are tight on their end, right? I
Yeah,
always say go the extra mile, be
yeah.
the bigger.
So exactly. So I'm with you, Sue. And then
Yeah.
I hope everybody don't find me very irritating, because I'm trying to add on to Sue's point as well. And I think to Ming Sing's question, right? If you cannot get money, right, then that's where you can ask for non-monetary. Remember, Sue said can negotiate for leave. So nice,
Correct,
But
correct,
but but
correct.
but leave is a double-edged sword. I also want to
Correct.
warn all of you.
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
why
yes,
is it a
yes.
double-edged sword? Because humans are very weird. The more I see you, the more I accept that you are part of my environment.
Correct. Correct.
Psychologically. But because I
Psychologically.
don't see you, right? Out of sight, out of mind. So, I still show up at a consulting firm's office, and sometimes they'll say, "Oh, do you have any coaches today or clients you're seeing?" I say, "Oh, not real. No, I don't have, but I came in to prep some things and all that." And then there were some situations that I saw that they really needed help. Not that it was planned that way, but I happened to be there and I said, hey, let me help. And I didn't, have that in mind to actually what they, amongst consultants, we got to be very careful because sometimes they say you spoil market, so of course, who wants to spoil market, right? When you're a new kid on the block, the last thing you want is to be ostracized. And by the way, I learned everything on my own. So but hey, there are nice people around as well, so when you are sincere, you sincerely want to help, people can sense your sincerity. Yeah, so I would say, Ming Seng, go and negotiate other things, non-monetary. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yes, basic leave should comply with MOM regulation. Yeah. And then look at what they offer, a perm role, same
Correct.
role. Yeah.
Correct. Yes, that's the fairest comparison you should really compare to the perm role so that they don't shortchange you or you know exactly how much to ask for. Yeah. Okay, now let's move on to the next. Okay, so how do you want to prep yourself for contract work? Okay, this one I hope that I'll be telling more stories also for this one, but I just want to make sure that my story is to tell you what you can gain out of when you go into these interviews. But of course, the three key points is always be prepared, be open-minded, and always be positive. Okay, firstly, when I say be prepared, what do I mean by that? I mean that they should have a precise idea of what the job entails for them. They should be open-minded to go into the interview with a positive outlook on the contract roles, and also, of course, leave your reservations out the door. Like in this kind of forum where you can talk to us, by all means, just say all your concerns. But when you're at the interview itself, you should probably try to not deliver it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't voice out the valid queries you have about the job scope, etc. But you don't want to seem like you're tuned against the job, So how to prepare? Do research. Do research not on the job scope and the role that you are applying for, but also the company. Less is not more is more sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, wait. What do you say again? Less is not more.
More
And
is more.
more is more.
Yes, correct. In this kind of scenario, it's really more is more. Less is not
Okay.
more.
Yeah, I think please remember these three alphabets, TMI. Too
Yeah,
much info. Sometimes it's a fine line, right? How much do we share? And my suggestion is pace yourself. Like you test water before you jump into the pool, you have to test whether the water is cold, and then you have to check, if it's not cold, then okay, or maybe it's cold, then you go in very, very
yeah,
slowly.
correct. Please always think about see your surroundings, be aware of your surroundings, look at your interviewer's face. That's why previously I think June also mentioned where she said eye contact, right? It's very true. You must see whether your question or whether what you have said has made your employer uncomfortable or whatever it is. If you can read their gesture and their facial expression, it will play to your advantage for sure.
Okay. So when you said how they can mentally prepare, I think there's a question. Is it all right to ask for more specific of the contract job role during an interview?
Yes, sure. Sure. If you are
Right.
asking about the job scope and everything, of course, no worries, because I'm sure if they didn't state it out there, it's just when I say research, I
Oh,
mean more of like the company and the core competencies of what you are here for. Like, let's say, for example, finance role, right? They ask you questions. I hope that you have some financial terms down at least instead of just looking very lost. It's
okay.
just doing a bit of homework. Yeah.
So the question is, if you ask the question about the role, but then they don't have a specific answer, so is that a red flag?
Actually, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
I would
So
say sometimes it is.
yeah, so maybe they haven't figured out, or maybe there are some things they cannot say. Whatever
Mm,
it is, just know that if you're the kind of person that you don't mind going in, where things are not settled, things are not defined, and you don't mind finding answer together with them, then that's okay. But if you
that's okay.
prefer something more defined, then yeah, then I think it's
And
a
yeah, correct. It is a bit of a red flag because then you know that whatever they have put out for you, right, it's
mm,
gonna be technically more, I will always say that if they are holding back on telling you terms that they should provide you, right, it probably is because there is either too much that you have to cover. That's why
Mm,
they don't want to scare you into the role. That's
mm.
why they have reserved the answer. So it is a slight red flag.
Yeah, and a good question to ask at the end of any interview is there, I mean, ask this only when they like you, okay?
Yeah,
Not when they
yeah.
don't like you, because you ask this question is useless. You can
Yeah,
ask them, is there something else about the role that I should know that I haven't
mm,
asked?
correct. Always ask a little bit more on the role if they are not very upfront with you on it.
Yeah.
So that you also don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. And when you actually show up for work on the first day, you are just so overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
Yeah. Be
Okay.
fair to yourself either way. Then, okay, open-mindedness. Don't close yourself off to opportunities, I would say. Even if you go in for a finance role, if they
Mm,
offer you something else, if it piques your interest, don't be so quick to just be like, no, I don't want it. I came for a finance role. They can only offer me something else. Then I don't want to do it. That kind of thing, right, is often, it shows that like what I'm saying is, no, you don't have to go straight away and say like, yes, I will take up whatever you offer me. No, I'm not saying that. I'm
yeah.
saying that I'm saying go back home, think about it, tell them you will think about it. They won't shortchange you because you thought about it.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
this other question is very appropriate.
Mm,
Let's say you sign with a agency,
mm,
and the agency offer manpower to the to company A,
yes.
and then so do you still have negotiation power for leave and bonus and all that stuff? For me, my
Uh,
quick answer is MOM rules apply to all companies, whether you're agency, you're the direct beneficiary, that the talent is being assigned to, same rules apply. But how you
correct.
compare, I don't think you can compare to the beneficiary company, right? You can only
Yeah.
compare
Yeah.
people in a similar role in the agency firm. I think
Correct. But
maybe.
that's why I always say I feel like you should really read your contract. Do not sign without reading your contract. It's very important. If there are certain key things that is not stated in the contract, you should ask the HR to make sure that these key
Mm,
points are at least there, so that there is room for negotiation rather than there is just no room for negotiation because you have signed. Then their argument will be that I told you that this is it, you you agreed to sign. Because at the end of the day, if you endorse this paper with your signature, it is quite set in stone unless
I'm
it is
with you.
legal. Yeah, correct. So you should be
Yeah.
very cautious when you approach
Yeah.
that.
And I just thought I chime in by mentioning
Mm,
about one of my client
mm.
who were offered a role with the competitor firm, but the contract is to be signed with the agency. Okay.
Oh,
Now, very, very tricky, very tricky. So yes, although you can say, I apply the MOM laws and blah 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 and everything else, at the end of the day, what employment contract did you sign? So the old contract, so he took it out, and the old contract say, there is a non-compete clause, which means you cannot join a competitor firm.
yeah.
Okay. Now then you say you go through agency. Now the
Mm,
agency has already a signed contract with the competitor firm. It becomes gray. Now, do you want to enter into an employment when it's gray? So I caution you, sometimes it's better to calculate your, I always say marginal benefits must exceed marginal cost. Looks like your
yeah,
marginal cost is way beyond the marginal
yeah,
benefits, right?
yeah.
Very dicey.
Yeah, please, that's what I would say. Please be cautious when you sign. It's really, you
Yeah.
really have to see what you are signing. I know that is normally very lengthy and stuff like that, but just look out for the key. Yeah, just look out for the key points, because if you miss out on the key points, right, it's really hard for you to argue against a paper that you endorsed.
Yeah.
Even if there are laws and stuff like that, right? It's still because you endorsed that, right? It, you
It,
are one step behind already.
yeah, it supersede already because you agreed to the terms.
Correct.
That one supersede the laws are guideline unless the company break the laws, but
Correct.
exception to the rules are usually signed by the person who signed the contract. So you
Correct.
accepted my rules, you know. I
Yeah.
Yeah, so be very careful. Anyway, in the end, my everybody told him it's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, all right. I was the only one who said I actually sorry, but I don't agree. I think you better be
Yeah.
careful. So
Correct.
anyway, that's a long story lah. But it turns out for the better. It really turned out for the
Mm.
better. Yeah. So be careful.
Yeah, please be careful. Everybody, please read contract properly. Sarah, don't be so quick to sign just because you got an offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, know your right.
Okay. Another question. Wow, this is a very active crowd. Question to you: is
Yes.
it usual or unusual for company to have a non-compete clause, or is it non-breakable for 1 year bond for contract role?
Okay, it depends on the company. So if it's stated in the clause that is like cannot be broken, right? Then yeah, you cannot break it because they have been upfront to tell you that you cannot break it. If you break it, you have to compensate them. A lot of the times they will say like, let's say for example, it's a 1 year clause. They will say if you break the bond before that, you will have to pay back the whatever amount of salary, right?
Yeah.
That was intended for you to be paid out. Instead,
Yeah.
you will have to pay that amount. It's basically like when you want to um what is that, resign
Yeah.
without notice period, right? If
Yeah.
you want to resign without notice period, you have to pay your notice period off. Same thing for them,
Yeah.
because it's a contract basis. Let's say for example it's a year, you come down to 3 months, you will have to pay for the remaining 9 months. So
Yeah.
definitely I would say that when you sign, if it says is bond, you are bonded for a year, please make sure that you can commit for that year. Or if you want to go over to a different company, make sure that they buy you
Yeah.
out instead of
Correct.
you come out of your pocket, because it will be very, very costly.
Yeah, yeah. So red flags to me, these
Yeah.
are red flag because you sign it.
Yes, correct.
Everything is arguable, but because you sign it. Another
Yes,
word of caution is ask the right people for advice. Please,
yes.
when we go to friends, when we go to, close contact, they all
Hmm.
mean well for you. They only want the
Correct,
best thing
correct.
for you. So,
Yeah,
back to my client, he says everybody tells him, don't worry, even though they say that you're not supposed to work with a competitor, they never actually how do they know? They're not even lawyers. How do they
correct.
know?
How do they know? Yeah, how do they?
I asked the question, how do they know? From HR,
Yeah,
we see so many cases.
yeah,
So it's like,
yeah,
never, please, I say, ask the right people for advice.
yeah,
So
correct.
anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So I hope you get that. So yes, everything supersede when you ink the contract. So read the
Yes.
terms, okay?
So read the contract. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. What if I love this one. Li Hui say, what if the job responsibility in the contract differ from what was discussed at the interview? Oh, very
Oh,
big red flag.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But
very big red flag.
the danger with this is the fact that by the time you figure out it differs from you are, I mean, if you have not signed the contract, I would say don't sign it lah.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah, if it really differs, right? Because then now what they're expecting from you is completely different from what you intended to offer, you see.
yeah, yeah. So
So
that's why I put there everything is negotiable. You see, when you
yeah,
move the pen very close to the paper, right, they get very excited. Then you move the pen
yeah,
away, then they feel very sad.
yeah,
Right? You just go like
yeah,
that. So then you can but really that's why I put there everything is negotiable until you sign the contract.
correct.
And
Everything,
even if the
everything.
HR tells you, don't worry, the words don't worry is a worry. So
Yep, yep. Oh, worry, please worry. Yeah. Even as a HR, we would tell you, please worry, just
please
worry a bit.
worry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please worry. I don't
Yeah.
understand why you put in, because especially in contract jobs, because like you say ma, what if it's such a long time of period, then what are we to do, right? Like
Yeah.
it's for a year, and then you are just going to be like, yes, I'm going to be bounded for a year, no outs in this, and then we will just sign this. I feel that that's a very it's really quite detrimental. It's a mistake that you will want to avoid at all costs.
Yeah, so a quick word of advice. Usually non-compete clause don't come from contract roles unless you are very senior official, where your senior country officer and you've got some liabilities and all that. Of course, then I'll say that's all tied to the role. But other
Correct,
than
correct.
that, usually no, because if
Yeah,
you are
usually,
usually no, right? I mean,
yeah,
if you
not
are
all.
subjected, sorry, you should talk.
No, 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 no. Carry on, I think, carry on.
Yeah, I mean, always compare yourself to your colleague of the same job and the same level, and then look at the risk that they undertake. So who's your middleman who knows the contract that both of you have is HR, right? So ask HR that question. And another red flag is when HR say, "Don't worry, so far we have never," but then you don't want to be the first case. Okay, so that's my advice. I always say precaution, precaution. I've seen too many cases.
Correct.
Somebody will say, "Oh, last time the predecessor, the last HR manager said that no problem, but the last
Yeah,
HR
correct.
manager left, and
Yeah,
maybe
it's too late.
that's why he asked to
Yeah,
go."
yeah.
So don't
Then
trust,
you
don't
don't need,
trust.
correct, correct, correct. Really be cautious. Always be
Yeah.
cautious. Mm.
Okay, good
Okay,
question.
the next is just okay. It's just my last advice is probably just stay positive. Okay, your energy is very transferable. I always tell Eileen about how whenever I see her so active and so happy, right? My mood immediately lights up, and I'll be like, yeah, I should match her energy because I
Wow.
don't want to seem like, oh, she's putting in so much effort, but while I'm just looking down, like, oh, okay, like,
Yeah, I run so many free events some more. Oh my gosh.
yeah, correct. Yeah,
Yeah. Thanks.
so yeah, so always remember, match the interviewer's energy, make sure you radiate positive energy so that they always know that you are a person that is of with the best disposition, and they won't think, oh, what a dull employee, like, I don't want them in my team, because I feel like they will dull the entire team. If you stay positive, you'll be like, oh, this person can really add, not just in terms of work, but also can add value to the teams in terms of moral spirit, because I always feel like, you must have high morale for your team to
Yeah.
be working well, so
Mm.
sometimes it's not just about the technical aspect. Sometimes psychologically, emotionally, you have to be there too.
Yeah. Make it safe.
So
Very
yeah,
good.
just, yeah,
Mm.
correct. So I think that's about all the advice I have to give for today. I
Oh,
just
very nice. Very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you
no,
so
no
much.
worries. I
Yeah. So,
will. Hmm,
can you pass the screen back to me?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I also wanted to say that if anyone is interested, I also have some job applications links that they can come down to. So
Yes.
any roles that you see that you're interested, actually you can just go to my careers future, then just search up the job title for ZTO, and then all these roles will pop up. Then you can just apply. Like I say, I'm always open to hearing you out. So every job application, I will definitely look through. And my contact details is as follows.
Yeah,
If anybody,
I can tell you hand on my heart, no HR will ever give you their email, and
yeah,
even worse, mobile number. Okay,
yeah,
and this is what
my
she's
God.
I know, right? Yeah. So she's really one HR with a heart for sure. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I think Lu Hui asked a question, what if I work in a departmental store and then can I still join a clothing line? Yeah, why not? I think
Yeah,
there are
why not?
some why why
Yeah.
why not? Just talk about things that is relevant. Talk
Correct,
about
correct.
things.
Relevant transferable skills, why not?
Yeah.
And if you want to even start from ground zero, I also still say, if that's where your passion lies, that's where your interest,
Mm,
why not? Why not? Just make
mm.
sure you do the proper research and know what you want to do.
Okay, so then the further on question is, what if there's a non-compete clause in the departmental store contract? Then very simple answer, then don't join. Cannot.
Yeah, correct. Correct. If you know you are going to be bounded by, like, you're going to be in shackles, then I say don't do it. Why would you
Yeah.
do this knowing that this is going to happen?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, then Trilin say what? Got interviewer question above. Ah. Oh, okay. Trilin's question is, I think Sue, because you talk about matching the energy and all that stuff, but he's asking, I mean, the question is, what if the interviewer is very scholarly? Maybe I assume the energy not so high one.
Then you try to make her energy high also. So she see you very happy, then she feel like, oh, ayo, maybe I should.
Yes,
Then maybe,
yes.
that's why I say it's transferable. Because if your interviewer is in a bad mood, if maybe you tell a few jokes, maybe you try to lighten up the mood, maybe
Right.
you will make day two. So you will have a higher chance of getting the offer also, because when they see you, they associate you with positive thoughts.